Welcome back to another reading and correcting with me, Kindar, the Tiger Writes, and Ty, the Tiger Supervisor. These are where I read a chapter from one of my stories and correct it as I go. If you want to listen to these live, it's every Tuesday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Time on Twitch and YouTube. And if you are looking to support me, that is on my Patreon. Today we are doing chapter 82 of The Captain's Heart. And rebuilding efforts are underway after the hurricane hit the Philippine. You know what? Let's change that. The Philippine Islands. The Philippine Islands, a man said in English as Jeremy stepped into Gralgiran's office. The death toll is, thankfully, light due to the island's advanced warning system. At last report, 95% of the population was evacuated on time, and those who couldn't be reached were able to seek shelter. To anyone from Earth, in the vastness of the Federation space with relatives there, you can take heart that they are probably well. Gralgiran tapped his desk and the audio ended. They give updates about all major events on Earth if you want to keep up with what's taking place there. Jeremy shrugged. I don't really care about what's happening. I don't really care about what's happening there. Even when I was on Einstein. The only way I heard about it was when my friends discussed this game or that, which country was leading the charts for the best movie of the year, stuff like that. About the only thing I miss is my mom's messages updating me about what's happening with my siblings. And you know what? My family. And her telling her about my days. If you want to record something, I can see what can be arranged so that she'll receive it. The Federation has laws regarding ensuring family stays connected. Families stay connected. He shook his head. What would I tell her? The most important thing to happen to me is you, and my parents were the ones who took me to the doctors so before because there was something wrong with me. She wouldn't want to hear about this. Gralgiran nodded. If you ever change your mind, just let me know. Tom has contacts in the government's back room. He can make sure it's expedited. He smiled. What can I help you with? Jerry chuckled. The message came through. We're on approach. You said you wanted me to see this. His heart was up, putting the vest on. Come on. Good. Come on. He was in another part of the ship he'd never been in before. They'd gone towards the front of the ship. Then he thought they'd headed towards the hall, and now they were in a deserted corridor. Most of these are gunnery access, Gralgiran said before Jeremy could ask, but there are also viewing chambers. Why? Gralgiran chuckled. This is a hunter ship, Jer. It has seen its share of combat. I mean, the viewing rooms. What's the point of them when we can look outside from our screens? Because, he opened the door, nothing beats looking at it for real sometimes. He motioned Jeremy in. Nothing, so he stopped. The words stolen by the side beyond the clear wall. The station was big. He could tell that by the number of ships around it and how small they looked. But it wasn't its size that stunned him. It was its slickness, the curves and lines. Unlike the previous two stations he'd seen, even the which even the least basic one had clear practicality in its design. This could be a work of architectural art. Ashgaran is a Saladin design, Gralgiran said, moving Jeremy closer to the wall, and whatever else their failings are, they know how to design something nice to look at. But why? I understand building something efficient and making that look pleasing, but that has to be sacrificing a lot of that efficiency to look like this. To impress, I expect. Ashgoran is a Kelsirian word, the closest translation in Kelsirian, As it mean a getting together of people or a place of many. The language is ancient and slight nuances can change the meaning. So the species with sounds outside my hearing range. Jeremy muttered. He shook his head at Gralgiran's look. Who do they have to impress? Everyone. This is an administrative station. Every species comes here at one point or another. Government, representative, wealthy merchants, wealthy people. Anyone who of influence or seeking to gain influence will come here, and they need to be properly impressed by the Federation. And they put that at the edge of Kelsirian territory? Every border has one, and yes, they are all this impressive. Yeah, this wouldn't have been as impressive on a screen. Do we need to get in line with the other ships before docking? No. We were requested to be here. It's close enough to when the meeting will be with the Earther is scheduled. They will prioritize us. Shouldn't they have waited until you'd arrive before arranging a meeting? They should. Your stone was hard, but someone doesn't like me. They meddled? It always felt odd speaking like gods could act in their lives, but it was how his heart saw things. So he tried. You know what? I haven't seen his. I haven't put his name in a while. So Jeremy tried to adjust how he said them. He chuckled. Yeah, if I've done that, then Gralgiran chuckled. This isn't the gods. It's that admiral I told you about. He made sure I had no time to enjoy myself once here. He added the stop at the incarceration center as if he wanted it to be impossible to arrive on time. His way of punishing me for rescuing you. Aren't I one of you? With being your heart? Yes, but he doesn't want to accept just Billiam could have sent one so far that your gods might have allowed it. I don't have gods, Jimmy stated. I know, but it's an excuse to make my life difficult. He's part of a segment of the leadership that doesn't like that hunters act independently of them, and he dislikes me in particular. Because you're the favored hunter? Gralgiran groaned. Who told you about that? Jimmy grinned. I have a friend among the hunters, remember? The way he says it, you being favored by Helravnir is a reason many of them are in your crew. To be one of the hunters who is to be one of your hunters to know they will have worthwhile hunts. All hunts are worthwhile, Gralgiran replied with a sigh. Jimmy rested against him. Is the interior as impressive as the outside? Oh, very much so, Gralgiran grinned. Come on. As soon as we've docked, we're going in. If we wait for the welcoming committee, we'll be taken directly to our chambers, and then I'm going to have to sit in the adjudication room until it's my turn to sit at the table and face my accusers. This is your captain, Gralgiran grinned at Jeremy as his voice sounded around them. The announcement went out throughout the ship. We are about to finalize docking at Ashgoran Station. I remind you that this is not a leisure stop. Only those who have received approval from the station are authorized to exit the ship. If you have not yet been approved, you should continue with your usual day. It's doubtful the Federation will have sped up its process enough for it to come through before we are on our way to Kelser. Those who have been approved do not linger. This is an administrative station. They expect efficiency, not leisure. As soon as he was done, he ushered Jeremy ahead of the small group waiting to exit. Less than a minute later, the clang of magnetic clamping sounded. Get ready, he said, grinning. As soon as there's enough space, slip through. I'll be right behind you. Jeremy was amused at how illicit this felt. Where am I going? Just run. We want to lose ourselves among the others before anyone official notices us. One day, the door thunked and began sliding out of the way. Jeremy was through slightly too fast and had to wait. Jeremy moved slightly too fast and had to wait until he could fit before taking off at a run among the people there. He forced himself to ignore the high ceiling that gave the impression of opening onto a sky with too much purple among the clouds to be a planet with the kind of atmosphere he could breathe. Jer! Gralgiran called, something out of breath. He looked over his shoulder and saw the strain of his heart's face. He stopped, looking around for anyone paying attention to him. Gralgiran was panting hard when he reached him. I didn't expect you to take off quite that early. He managed to chuckle. You said as soon as I could, and to run. I forgot how long you can run. You need to sit down? I'll be fine with walking. It's best we keep moving. Makes it harder for them to find us. What about scanners and recognition program? Can't they just use that to know where we are? Knowing where we are isn't the same as catching up to us. He had them take a turn, and we can't evade them forever. As much as I don't want to waste my time with it, I have to be in the chamber on time. You know what? Education. Where did I come across that? Oh, it's up here. So, education chamber. I don't want to waste too much time sitting there listening to other cases. They moved away from the passengers, disembarking and onto a more commercial promenade. Jeremy was amazed by the store. For an administrative station, it felt like there was a definite touristic aspect to them, impressing all those important people, like Gralgiran said. They tried Kelsirian compatible food, some that had Gralgiran gagging by how sweet they were, while Jeremy found them pleasant. They enjoyed a Romanian meat paste that had spices mixed in instead of in a sauce, the way Kelsirians did their flavoring. Then they walked among stores offering clothing from all species, but each one made by an artisan instead of printed. Some with cards explaining how each component of the fabric had been sourced from nature. Jeremy was impressed by the work, but not enough to pay for a set of Kelsirian clothing in his size. Even on Earth, where there was an industry for natural product, had been plenty for him. His sister, Beth, on the other hand, loved going looking, loved searching for any clothing that had been made instead of printed. Are you okay? Gralgiran asked, and Jeremy realized he'd been looking at something the card said was a Reosef humbling covering for a while. This looks like a human dress. My sister would have loved to see something like this, made from scratch. Gralgiran placed an arm over his shoulder. You can send a message. I understand that you miss your family, even with what your parents did. Maybe. When we're back on the ship. There you are. Came a severe voice, speaking federalized. You are making things needlessly complicated. Jeremy recognized the Saladin, but was surprised the alien was half his size. The description had said they were short, but he hadn't expected them to be quite that short. They wore pale covering that had the feel of overalls to him. The exposed skin was mostly pinkish gray, but also had reds and blues in places, shifting back to the gray. Their skin changed color with their emotions, the description had said, and they had the description had said, and they had been, and there had been an extensive list of what each combination meant that he bypassed. You have my apologies, Gralgiran replied. There was no one when we exited, and since we are early, I thought my heart would like to visit your wonderful station. You aren't early, they said. Patches of yellow becoming visible. The instructions are to show you to your chambers on arrival, then for you to wait within to be called to the with the others, not to dally around. Again, you have my apologies. Lead us to our chambers. And that concludes chapter 82 of The Captain's Heart. If you are enjoying this, please leave a like. If you want to know when the next chapter will be up, subscribe and hit the bell. If you want to read this story, it is available on Ream Story. If you want to listen to these live, it's every Tuesday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Time on Twitch and YouTube. Links are in the notes, and with that, I shall wish you a good day.